For my project, I looked at English language learners and literacy. My main focus looking at the challenges that teachers face when teaching ELL students. The school that I observed at was Davis Elementary School, located in Bedford, Massachusetts. The grades it served were kindergarten through second grade, so my main focus was looking at early childhood and elementary education. Here's some information about the different teachers that were in this school. There were 24 classroom teachers. There was one ESL teacher, and there was also one RTI interventionist who sometimes supported the EL students in reading and writing. For my first observation, I observed a second grade general education classroom. There were 22 students, 3 of which were in IEPs, 2 were English language learners, and this teacher had been teaching for 28 years. For my observations, I created a template in which I looked at the goals, materials, instructions and methods, and assessments. One instruction/method that I'd like to talk about is the differentiation in the daily 5 activities. These activities were different centers that were done during the English language arts period. The centers included word work, listen to reading, read to someone, work on writing, and at this time she would hold her literacy groups in the back of the classroom. My favorite daily 5 activity would be the work on writing because the students were able to write letters, stories, menus, recipes, postcards to either people in the classroom, or they'd write a story about something they're interested in. And they could either do this on the computer or they could do it on a piece of paper. For my second observation, I looked at the ESL classroom. There were a maximum of 4 students in each lesson. This was a pull-out service. The lessons were usually 30 minutes long, and this teacher, it was her first year at Davis School. The methods that I would like to talk about here are her use of background and prior knowledge and native language. I liked how she used prior knowledge because she wanted to know what the students already know about certain information. For example, she was teaching a lesson on what pets need and asked students if they have pets and what they know about taking care of their pets. I will also talk about native language further on in my presentation. Impact of linguistic and cultural differences. As of 2008, approximately 5.3 million EL students are in the United States. With this increase, teachers need to know how to support English language learners. Linguistic differences. The English-only classroom. This faces as a barrier for ELL students because they are not encouraged to use native language to support English development. It also talks about how language affects all areas of literacy, how students listen, speak, read, and write, not only in their native language, but in the English they're learning. The two together can really help foster literacy development for English language learners. Cultural differences. Instruction does not match cultural values. It also talks about how culture affects all areas of our lives. Not learning an environment that does not match cultural values can be a struggle for EL students. You're not only looking at what you're teaching them, but how you're teaching it and how they can access that information based on how they've learned in their previous environments. Impact of inconsistency in schooling. Lack of formal education is something that can be a challenge to EL students. They may not have the background schooling knowledge that other students may have when coming into a classroom. Teachers can't assume that a student knows exactly how to learn and how to work in a schooling environment. You need to provide them with time to adapt, time to get used to the structure of school. They also say that they're doubly disadvantaged because they have a lack of exposure to print in English and their native language. They need to be learning 2 languages at once, either done at home or school, or even both. It's important to give those students that opportunity. While the purpose of literacy in the primary language may differ from those they are learning from English, students literate in their primary language have nonetheless experienced the value, utility, and purpose, perhaps pleasures, of print. It's important that we realize that students' native language can play a huge role in how they're learning English. Here are some strategies that I want to talk about for both of the teachers. One is students using native language. This is something the ESL teacher does very well, but there are some more ways that she can enhance that. Labeling the classroom. You could have an object in the classroom and label in both the student's native language and in English. You can make transitions for the students using the native language. The teacher could have a word they use to transition kids from one activity to the next. You could even have the EL student be in charge of this. You could also create a classroom language or signal that all the students are able to use, and it's a great way to build a sense of community. Using UDL, you can differentiate the lessons. The teachers were very well at doing that already in centers and materials, but there's other ways they can do that in terms of assessing the students. The third strategy they could use is incorporating diverse perspectives. One author pointed out having diverse books that depict different cultures motivates EL students to want to read. By incorporating these different cultures, students will want to read more. And my last thing is the recommendations I have for these teachers. It would be to have professional development, training all teachers to support EL students, insight in how to teach EL students, revise learning standards, and assessment and procedures and practice for ELL students. Making these changes will make a huge impact in how you teach your EL students. In conclusion, in order to help EL students develop their literacy skills, teachers need to be willing to change the curriculum and the way they teach in order to help our EL students. Thank you.